All right, in the next phase, I want to start working on the headrest of my seat. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit in all four viewports so that we can see the general views. And so I'm in the back viewport here so that I'm facing the front of my cushion. And I can switch to the ghosted mode. Let's see if it doesn't. No, it doesn't do that much, but it's kind of, we can still see it through the cushion, the shape of that headrest. Okay. Now you see, if I highlight this, where my lines for my sub-Ds are and where my cushion line is. So I need to make some adding some details before I start creating the cushion. So I might want to create a cut here, okay, and a cut here. All right, so let me go to the perspective view, double click on perspective tab to maximize it, and I'm just going to press shift control again and just select this edge, for example. Okay, and I'm going to go to my sub-D tool where I can find the select edge ring, and it's going to automatically go all the way around my cushions. And again, I'm going to use the insert edge, and I can snap in mid if I want, or if I go back to my viewport, in the back viewport, it's kind of hard to see for you guys, but you can see the white cursor that is following, the white point, I mean, that is following my cursor. I can drag it so that it more or less goes along this edge of my headrest. So if I press Control Shift and double click so that you can see what it looks like, I just created a cut to add a bit more detail so that it lines up with the headrest, as you can see here. So the line beneath it, this is the backrest that's happening in the back, okay? Because it's at an inclined position, as you can see in the left viewport. So this line here, this is the back of your cushion, and that upper line here, this is the front part of your cushion. So for those of you who are not familiar, you know, you just need to understand how things work in the 3D world. Sometimes it can be confusing, but with practice you get less and less confused, obviously. So I'm going to do the same here. You can see here I need to add a cut here, and if I highlight it, you see that I've got an edge here, I've got an edge here, but I'm missing something in between. So I'm going to do it the same thing. So I'm just going to press Shift Control, and I'm just going to try and find an edge. Sorry, Shift Control, select one edge like that. Okay, maybe I should go back to my perspective view so that you can see like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to click on select edge ring like this. It goes up. Make sure that it goes all the way around. That way you know that you're going to be able to create a loop when you're about to insert an edge. So I go here, insert edge, and again I can switch back to my back viewport, and you can see it with my cursor. I try to line it as best as I can, something like that. So if I press Control Shift and select, double click on the edge, you should have a loop, as you can see here. Okay, and this loop will be for the shape of my cushion here. And if I double click this one, you can see the bottom part here and the side here. Okay, so now that I've done that, I've started adding a bit more details. Okay, so what I'm going to do is press Control Shift again, and this time I'm going to select the faces. And you can see that one by one I'm selecting these faces. I could, if I want, maybe try with these faces, but in this case, no. Maybe I'm just gonna use these faces here. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore the upper part. You could do it if you want by selecting these faces as well, but I'm gonna do it with these only. And observe what I'm gonna do. I'm going to duplicate these sub objects. Okay, when you select whether it's a vertex or an edge or a faces like you see here, these are called sub objects of a sub-D model. Okay, so these are sub objects, those four faces, and I'm just going to duplicate these faces. Now, the logical thing to do would be to do edit, copy, paste, but it won't work. I can tell you right now, if you want to duplicate these sub objects, as you can see here highlighted, what I would suggest is that you right click on the explode icon, and it's called extract surface. So if I right click on the explode icons to extract the surfaces, You can see that I've got something going on here. I created a duplicate of my sub object. Now, one thing I need to mention before, because I went a bit too fast, if let me, for example, select this face here, and I right click on the explode icon, make sure that copy equals yes. Okay, if you have copy equals no, so let's do it again, copy equals no, and I select, for example, this face. Now what happens is that I'm removing a face from that cushion. So I'm going to click undo. So make sure that when you right click on explode icon, make sure that copy equals yes, all right? And then you start doing your duplicate of this sub object. So now once that I've done that, I can pull it out as such like this. So I've got a sub object in the subd mode, in the smooth mode. If I press tab key, you've got the box mode, all right? So now I can select these faces or that sub object and I can extrude it. So in my toolbars for the subd tools, I go here where it says extrude subd, and now Rhino doesn't know which direction to extrude. It thinks that I want to extrude along the X direction, but that's not what I want. So in the menu, while I have the extrude command executed, I just select direction equals, instead of X, I select Y. And now I go in the proper direction. So I'm going to go backwards like this, and I'm just going to do one extrusion. Now what happens is that I have faces missing here in the front part, and I've got, because I'm going to do a reflection of that subd model, I don't need those faces here because I'm going to do a mirror. So I'm going to press Shift Control and select these two faces, and I'm going to press delete. And what I need to do is complete the front face of that subd model. So again, I go here where I can find the bridge meshes or subd, and it says here select the first set of edges or faces. So I'm going to select the first edge here, and then I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to select the second edge here. So I'm going to just, like the name says, bridge it and press enter. And I'm just going to keep it by default. It's going to do an average, and I want 2 segments. So if I have only 1 segment, it's only going to create 1 face, as you can see. If I click here and I want 2 segments, I'm going to have an edge added in the middle. The reason is because I need to match this face and that face, as you can see here. So that's why I created 2 segments. And I'm going to click on maintain join as checked and just click OK. All right, I'm going to do it again. So again, I'm going to find the bridge meshes or subds, click on that, and then I'm going to select my first set of edge. So this edge, right click for selecting the second edge, and then right click again, and you're bridging. And I'm just going to leave it by default, but this time I don't want 2 segments, I only want 1 segment. All right, so I just want 1 face. So make sure that it looks logical, that it makes sense. Whether you're in a subd mode or in a box mode, it doesn't matter, but just make sure that it looks nice and clean. And the best approach is to have nice quads, as you can see here, and you just click OK. And this one, you can either use the bridge function, but you can also use the function fill subd. So this function is here, fill subd hole. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select my boundary edges one by one, and I just right click. I leave it at automatic, as you can see in the option, and you right click a second time and it's going to fill in the gap. So now if I press the tab key, you can see that it's a nice and smooth looking pillow. Now again, I'll make sure that in the middle part, when you extruded your faces, that you don't have any faces on the sides. If you see them like I did earlier on, just select those faces and delete them so that you end up with just 1/2 looking like that. Okay, so if I press the tab 2, you can see how smoothed out it is. Okay, so that's the first step for my cushion, but I want to carry on adding more thickness to it. So I'm going to press tab again to go back to my box modeling mode, and I'm going to press Control Shift, and I'm going to select these faces, 1, 2, 3, 4 faces. Now you can either use the extrude icon here, but if you have the gumball, so make sure that gumball is turned on, as you can see at the bottom of my screen. You can see here that I've got the 3 arrows for the moving my faces or my vertices around, but I also have these handles along the axis. I don't know if you can see them, but you've got like a red dot, a blue dot, and a green dot. These dots are for extrusions, okay? Whether you work in NURBS surfaces or with the subd mode, you're gonna see the same thing. So I'm gonna take the green dot and I'm just gonna pull it or push it towards my cushion, as you can see here, along the Y direction, and add more faces to it. So just make sure that when you rotate in the middle part, as you can see here, if I press tab key, you're going to see something weird going on. And that's because when I extruded, it extruded the edges and created these two new faces. So I'm going to press Control Shift, and I'm just going to select this face and that face, and then I'm going to delete. So now if I press the tab key again, you can see that it's a nice and smooth looking shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this, or use the appropriate term for the subd tools. It's called reflect. So here's my reflect subd object. I'm just going to left click on that. So select subd to apply the reflection. So I'm going to select my object. Then it says start a reflection plane. So I've got x-axis, y-axis. So I'm going to make sure I'm in the proper orientation. If I go in the back viewport, let's maximize that. It's along the so let's say it's the y-axis, okay, and let's try that out. So y-axis, pick a point on the side to keep. So I'm going to click on this point. It can be anywhere. So this is the side that I want to keep, and I'm going to snap to reflection plane. I'm going to leave it to automatic, and I'm just going to right click, and it's going to do the reflect on the other side. All right. So let me go back to the perspective tab, and there you have it. So the darker part is the reflected tool, and the lighter color is the original subd object. So obviously if I press Control Shift and I start moving this point, it should duplicate. Let me see why it's not duplicating now. That's weird. Let me try again. If I move this and that, okay, now it works. No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. So let me undo this. Let's try again the reflect tool. I'm not happy with the result. So let's try that again. I'm just going to hide maybe this part here. I'm going to put myself in the smooth mode like that. And let me see, maybe I'm going to also reverse. Now you can see the blue color. This is the back side of, well, the back of my surface. So I need to select that object, and I'm going to click on the arrows to for the analyze direction, and you can see that my normals are pointing inwards. I don't want that. I want them to point outwards. That's the convention. So I'm going to click on flip all and then right click. That way I reverse the normals direction. All right. So I'm going to do it again, the reflect tool. Here's the reflect subd object in my subd toolbar. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to select my subd object in the back viewport. There you go. So start a reflection plane. I'm going to press enter. Snap to reflection plane, enter. Okay, that's good. So let's see if that worked this time. Hopefully it did. So let me press Control Shift and move this. And there you go. Now it worked. Okay. So I don't know if it's because the normals were flipped inwards and I had to flip them on the outwards. But you know, just make sure that when you reflect, that when I move my points, you see here, now it works. Okay. So that's a little precaution, a little piece of advice I'm giving you. All right. So now that I've got my cushion, I can move it and superimpose it on top of my backrest. All right, so I can always, for example, Control Shift and select these faces, and always, you know, try to look from the top view. So I'm going to put myself in the shaded mode in the top view, so that it looks more or less like the way you want it, you know. And there you have it. Okay, what I can also do is add a bit more details now to my headrest. So I'm just going to go back here, Control Shift, select that edge. I'm going to use the ring tool, so select edge ring in my subd toolbar here, and I want it to go all the way around. Make sure that it goes all the way around like I did, and then it's easy to add insert an edge, and I can add an edge approximately about here. You can see that I'm adding more details, so it becomes sharper like that. And I can do the same in the back. So I'm just gonna hide my cushion, my backrest I mean, and I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna press Control Shift. I'm gonna select this ring here. So again, select edge ring, go all the way around, and then I'm gonna insert my edge. And you can see the principle. It's very, you know, it's good to have this to repeat this over and over so that you understand the principles behind this. It's a good practice. So again, make sure that you have nice quads everywhere, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 nice edges, so that you have a nice and clean geometry like I have here. All right. And if you want to add stitches like I did for the seat cushions, you can do that if you want, you know, to practice even more. But you know, for now, I'm gonna keep it like this for now. You can always, once you've started creating your headrest, you can always select your subd model, and now with the gumball, you can, for example, do a non-uniform scale to stretch it a bit. So you know, it's like sculpting basically, and you can shape it the way you want it, you know. So I can always reconfigure, redesign, and maybe select these faces, and just, actually, I might want to try something like that. Take these faces, let's see what it does, and just bring it inwards actually, like that. And then I'm gonna deselect, so Control Shift, and I'm gonna deselect these faces, and I'm gonna bring this one even more inside like that. Not too much, as you can see now it's clashing with the backrest, but I'm gonna fix that later, I think at the next video. So I'm just gonna bring it maybe something like that. I just want to give it a bit of a curvature, as you can see here. So maybe let me just pull this one out a bit further forward like that. And there you have it. So I'm giving a bit of curvature. However, I can see at the bottom part here, I'm not happy with this. So I'm just gonna select these faces, and I'm just gonna bring them, push them as much as I can. Something like that. However, I'm not happy. So let me go back here. I know what I have to do. So I'm going to press Control Shift. I'm just going to double click to reselect that edge loop. I'm just going to delete this for now because I want to give that curvature that I want, and that loop that I created previously was clashing a bit. So now you can see that that looks much better like that. And if I want to re-add the loop, so I just Control Shift and select the ring, and then now I can insert my edge, something like that. There you go. All right, so now it looks much better like this one. And yeah, so try that, okay? And I'm gonna carry on with adding more details to my backrest and doing a better integration with the headrest as well. But you know, try to get a result that looks more or less similar to what I have here, and we can proceed on for the next step. All right, so thank you for your attention, and see you at the next video.